Welcome, everybody. My name is Darlene, and I am your GMIST host for today. GMIST is partnering with Festival Events Ontario, and the webinar today is How to Engage Your Audience Year-Round. And with us today is Debbie Main. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you. Thanks, Darlene. And thanks, everyone, for joining us today. We're so excited to be doing this with you again one more time. Love helping out the East Coast with our expertise and our presenters. So today we have Marnie Lapierre from Timmins, who is going to be talking about engaging your audience during, pre, during, and post-event. So Marnie, welcome. Thank you for doing this with us. And yeah, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking time today to check in and learn a few new tips, some things you may already know and implement in your day-to-day processes with your events. A lot of this is geared towards festivals and events, but there's so much that you can take back for other activities, such as, when you're working with clientele, when you're working on a conference, it's a little bit different than a festival, but the overall is applicable to any type of engagement you want to continue with your organization. So with that being said, thank you, Jay. Jay is my tech guy today that is helping me make sure that the presentation runs well, so I do appreciate that. So we're going to be discussing how we can be more engaging with the audience during, pre, and post-event with a few little tips to go on. Please, by all means, any questions, happy to answer them. I believe Debbie will be monitoring that in the chat. And let's get started. So the next slide. So this is me when I have a good hair day. And this is a little bit of what I've been doing over the past 25 plus years. I am the owner and consultant of Northern Events and Tourism Consulting. I am located in Timmins, Ontario, but I pretty much am able to work nationwide. Thank you to new technologies and the internet. I'm a certified festivals and event expert and a certified tourism industry specialist, as well as certification in event management. I've got experience in fundraising, grant writing, managing large and small scale events, anything from 8-day festivals with 4 rock concerts per day to bake sales, honestly. I've got extensive volunteer development experience. I'm currently on contract with the United Way as their volunteer lead development person. I do a lot of event budgeting, strategic planning, everything that has to do with the festival. I've pretty much done it and am doing it. I'm a board member with Festivals and Events Ontario Culture Days, and all the rest of that. And probably one of my favorite roles as well is being the president of the Timmins Multicultural Society. That's what lured me to the Great White North. And I've been here for 37 years, mostly because of my engagement with that organization. So next slide, please. Now I'm going to ask a few of you to tell me about you. I know that we have a very diverse group today, coming from events, from different organizations. I'm hoping that the individual from Lunan Dockfest is there, or even the Greater Moncton Scottish Association. If you want to tell us a little bit about you and what you're hoping to get out of this. Anybody willing to jump in?
I will, since you called me out. So my name is Jenna Morton. I'm with the Greater Moncton Scottish Festival and Highland Games. We're heading into our 17th annual event this June. This is the second year that I've worked officially with the organization, helping them. Last year was the first year I was on contract to help them when we hosted an international portion of our games. We had 7 international countries and Canada and the US represented by our athletes last year doing the heavy events. So that was a huge event and a huge learning curve. And yeah, trying to kind of get some tips today on how to maintain some of the momentum that we had from that while still kind of going back to a smaller regional event.
Well, I have to admit, I called you out because it's a little self-serving. I'm a retired BATD Highland dance teacher, and I've created some Highland games, so I know what you're going through. And Haven't been able to get to the East Coast for games yet, but boy, is that on my bucket list. So
Oh, well, we would love to have
welcome.
you. There's only really a few games out here, actually. We're pretty keen to keep this one growing and keep it strong.
I know our Ontario dancers do tremble when you come through for the Canadians, so I'm just saying. Anybody else like to jump in?
Sure, I can. So my name's Adriana. I am currently director and coordinator for Thamesville Threshing Festival. This is the first year they have been a part of FEO, but I have been helping Connie with the Downtown Chatham BIA, so Retrofest, for about 10 years, as well as founded a few events under Summit shows. So I'm 25 years old and have had over 10 years experience doing events.
Wow, I started my career when you started here on Earth. Wonderful. And I believe I've seen you in some of our other presentations as well. So nice to see you again. Awesome. Okay, so let's continue on because I've got a few slides to go through. But feel free to pop into the chat and give us a little update of who you are and who you're with, and if there's any burning questions as we go. So the topics that we're going to cover are: who is your audience and what do you know about them? Your pre-event, not too early to get momentum going. During the event, plan to have engagement points. Post-event, don't forget them when they're gone. And nurture your network, let your friendly ecosystem help. And I'll explain what I mean by ecosystem when we get to that particular topic. So next slide, please. So who is your audience and what do you know about them? So many things happen at our events, and it happens quickly. We don't always have time to engage with the spectators or the attendees right at that time because we're so busy running in the background, making sure that everything is flowing correctly. So we need to gather that information. So you need to collect your demographics data. There are different ways to do this. And if you're not doing it, I definitely recommend starting, because this helps how you're going to plan your campaigns to draw people to your event or to your particular cause or whatever it is that you're needing with your organization. I could probably talk on this particular topic all day, but I won't. I'm going to keep it very succinct and happy to do follow-up with anyone. So the 6 main areas that you can pull from is previous event information. If you're new to the organization, somebody's collected something somewhere in the past. So, it might be in paper document form. Source it out. This is where you're going to find out where they're from, how many people they're traveling with, what their interests are. And the way to gather that is, through the different surveys, ticketing solutions. So by ticketing solutions, I mean, if you're a ticketed event where people are paying to get in and they're purchasing a ticket, say through a platform like Ticket Pro, which is a Canadian organization, they can collect whatever kind of demographics you need through the sign up to be able to purchase the tickets. And this way you get a wonderful report that tells you where they're from, how many tickets, so that kind of gives you an idea of how many are coming with them. You might be able to gather, depending on the confidentiality agreement and what you put into the ticket sign up, maybe where they're staying. It all depends how you set that up. Surveys, Bob's your uncle there. You can get all kinds of information there. I recommend, if you're doing it day of event, that your survey team is well prepared and educated, that they understand they shouldn't just be going to the females in the audience from ages 35 and up, because that will really skew your results. And if you're using teenagers, they tend to gravitate towards that demographic. So it's a great idea to take a look at how you can execute your surveys to gather the information you need. The reports are always useful when you're responding back to any kind of funder that has supported your event. They want to know if they are a sponsor, if they're reaching their target market. If they are a government funder, they want to have a good idea of what the demographics are to that particular event, and if it's meeting the pillar of that particular funding application that they've created. Photographs, there is a whole process where if you're taking a photograph of your event at its full capacity or as full of capacity that it can be for that particular day, there is a formula that is executable. If you need to connect with an organization or to find that particular formula, we can definitely help you out with that. But that gives you an idea of how many attend, not necessarily a drilled down demographic. It's also great for optics when you're later on preparing your reports, also for potential marketing campaigns. Articles will also assist you, through different media that support your event. They tend to pick up on certain items that you as an organizer may not. For example, if they happen to attend the if you have a country music portion to your event, they'll note what the visual demographic is. A lot of people, middle-aged and older, attended this great event. Read those articles, collect them. They do help, again, with those reports in your wrap-ups. And conversations, speak to your vendors, your food booth people. They also tend to notice what the vibe is of the people attending the event. They can provide you information that they sold out and had to refill and restock again, or maybe it wasn't quite hitting its mark during the event, because unfortunately sometimes that happens. Now that we've opened the doors because of the pandemic shutdowns, there is a bit of a change in what the attendance does look like, but let's hope it's going to scale up again. And then target your marketing campaign by taking those demographics data. That will help you. And the reason that we've collected all of this is now we know how to engage these individuals. We know a certain demographic is all about social media. They're all about app contact. And I'll explain about that in a little bit. They gather their information off of the internet. They either go to their social media or they will go to the website itself. Others gather their information about an event through printed material, radio, and airwaves such as television. So where are they getting their information? They're getting this information from the demographics. What is your competition doing? You want to take a look at your strongest and your weakest competition for your event. How is their marketing going? How do you see their marketing coming towards you? I'll take, for example, Facebook. You can be very targeted on Facebook with a marketing campaign. And you know this because when you've been on there, those campaigns that others create are popping up in your feed because you've identified your interests. So, for example, we have a Scottish festival. I have, and identified that I love anything cultural, anything in Canada. I wouldn't be surprised if, because Facebook's always watching, I will now get a pop-up saying, hey, did you know that this festival is happening? I love that. Don't use a shotgun approach. It's okay to, get the initial word out there, but if you're looking to support your sponsors who have a very targeted campaign themselves, that if you have a car dealership that's supporting it and they have a new model out that's going to appeal to a certain demographic, you want to ensure that your marketing campaign includes that demographic. This is also part of that conversation you would have. Like I said, I could talk about this particular topic all day. And you don't want to limit your campaign to just one form of marketing. You don't want to strictly stick to social media because not everybody does social media, and social media is a rapid evolving information funnel, and you need to be present of mind. So you need to make sure that your marketing campaign is consistent if you're using social media, and that's a lot of energy. So ensuring that you're spreading it out a bit to capture according to the demographics of what you want to attract, which is providing your demographic the information about your event that you're appealing to them, and you're going to start engaging with them. For example, and again, I revert back to Facebook because it is, it is probably the number one social media source of information that people are using right now. That they will now that they're informed that there is an event, they will go to that Facebook page and find the event information and start following it. They'll start engaging with the organizer or with the others that are attending. They'll start sharing the event information, and you're engaging that audience already before the event's even started. And that can carry through during the event and post-event. And use your network. And I am going to delve into that in a little bit towards the end, but your network, if you haven't listed who you think that is, now is a good time to start. Your network involves your audience, it involves your stakeholders, your supporters, your funders, the volunteers that you're working with, the staff that you're working with, your municipality, your regional tourism organization, your destination marketing organizations. The list is long, but once you have them engaged, they will start, helping you promote it, whether they do it consciously or not, just through conversations with their own network, or if you have that conversation where you inform them that in order to help us reach your target market, we're providing you some information as well. So again, this is a topic that could be discussed all day long. These are just some very quick points that I recommend that you start with almost immediately. Before you've even started the planning process, if you've got the idea, start having the conversations, you're starting to engage immediately.
Hey, Marnie, we have a comment from Adriana that says, I also recommend checking with your vendors and other groups involved in what social media platforms they use. As it can create more cross-posting and shares from those vendors, funders, volunteers.
Absolutely. I have to say, not that I'm advocating and promoting for a particular vendor, but Beaver Tails in Ontario is a wonderful supporter of events. They are one of probably the most popular food trucks that goes around, and they let their audience know, I'm going to be in such and such a community on such and such a day, and people in the surrounding areas of that community put that in their calendar. They love their beaver tails up here. So that's just one example. And yes, that's an excellent point. Excellent point.
There's another comment too. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
And Linda Spruce, I'm not sure if you had a question about, you said Southampton's Arts is hosting a fundraiser. Did you have a question on that, or was it just a comment to the group?
It was really just a comment to the group. We're looking for ideas as to how to push this out. It's a shoulder season event. We are a tourist town, so we are trying to capture the locals and bring them in and get them excited about coming back to an event that used to be held and used to generate a lot of excitement. So we were hoping we would still have that. It's seeming that we're not even sure if, it's early days as far as 22 days, 3 weeks ahead of the fundraiser, if people are just holding back, but how to get them to push through and buy those tickets. We clearly need assistance with that.
Well, perfect timing for this next slide. Right now, you're going to see across the board for events a very strong sense of reconnection. And, we have these major events that happen all the time and everybody's expecting it. But when you've got those smaller, like you mentioned, shoulder season events, and you're targeting the community, it is connection, reconnecting in the community. Seeing your neighbors again, and, supporting local businesses and bringing the community together to celebrate something, and positioning it in that way definitely assists the engagement that you're looking for. This is almost like a door-to-door idea where those stakeholders that are participating in your event can definitely be a great network within your network to get that word out. There's all kinds of marketing opportunities for that, where you generate excitement for the event at one of your local funders, where maybe a giveaway if you have tickets, or merchandise that, hey, we're here on site at such and such car dealership, a great supporter of such and such event. And we've got 2 tickets to the event, pop by today, or, like and share. And, they will catch on to that, especially, with what we've been going through the last 3 years with the very strong support local. Bring in your Chamber of Commerce on this. If you have an economic development office locally that, can work with you. And again, your sponsors and your funders should be able to get on board and generate that excitement. If you have a local media personality or a group, for example, we have one up here in Northern Ontario called Kins and Klomp, who they have their own media following, and they go around for an event to different sponsors, and they set up shop, they engage, they give away some of their own merchandise while talking about your event, your local radio station. Again, great big marketing campaign. If you're looking for some, a little more guidance on that, we can definitely have a chat off screen at some point, or, just take some of the ideas that we have away here today away with you. And if there's anybody that in the chat that has some suggestions as well, pop them in, because we're all about connecting and sharing information, because when we're supporting each other's events, we're making our communities vibrant and re-engaged, and the spillover effect to each community is massive and definitely not talked about enough. And I think that's where we're at right now, where we might be each other's competitors, but we're also each other's supporters. So that's my little soapbox for the moment.
Adriana said here also, if possible, attend support other events like you just said in the area. We do this a lot in Chatham-Kent. Organizers sometimes even offer booth to help each other out, to support each other. Great place to add marketing and getting name out at different demographics. So
or volunteer.
Yes,
if you have too many volunteers right now, you need an award, because every event I'm talking to that is one of their biggest issues. So we all do events. We're all close by to one another. Well, okay, I'm in Timmins, Ontario, but we're all close by. Take the journey, offer to give a few hours of your time, help out, and you're going to learn about that event and what works. And you might bring things back, and vice versa. Cross volunteering is a great way to support each other at a very minimal cost, and again, expands a network. You're creating partnerships. Sister events, we have sister cities, sister events. What a great idea. On various levels. Oh, I just coined that idea. I love it. So start planning your engagement, your audience engagement now. Like we've covered, website, update it. If you haven't updated your website, get on it. Save the dates are great for that. If you have an RSS feed, which is something that is more high tech than my pay grade right now, but that is something that when an website is updated and you've got a follower, they get notification that there's new info up there. And I actually have set that up for myself for some events so that I keep on top of it. Your social media presence, if it's not updated regularly, you're going to lose your followers. You will not get your reach. Try to have at least once or twice a week something that you can engage people with, not just here's a save the date. Post questions. Photos from past events. Are you here? Tell us about your experience. That way you're generating following and excitement, and you're engaging with past attendees and potential new ones. Save the date notices are great. I like to make very official save the date notices for my funders and sponsors, so that it generates a very unique, special experience for them, that they understand that their contribution is important to the event and is well received. Then you, of course, you have the social media ones, emails out to your network. Save the date is great. And then you have their permission to follow up with updates. If you're booking some great talent, you can generate excitement by doing a silhouette of the main lead singer that doesn't show the face, but says, can you guess who this is? They're coming. Just little things like that you'll get feedback, you'll get excitement. They'll take that email and say to the rest of their office and say, can anyone figure out who that is? Little things like that will generate. And they're very simple things. And that's how the excitement starts. Not just blasting it out there that you've got, oh, I don't know why this name came to mind, but Rob Zombie's appearing at your event. He's a very, very heavy metal kind of guy. Just putting it out there, yeah, that'll generate some excitement, but it won't keep people coming back for more. They're going to want to know, well, who is this? Well, then you can add in the other members of the band, or they last played at such and such, little things like that, just to pull the interest in, because you've got your diehards that follow your event, but now you want to pull in the rest of the organizations or people or spectators, to say, oh, they know what they're doing. They've got some really great ideas. Maybe we can get over to this event, either to help out or to buy tickets. Create content that is applicable to the audience. So what may appeal to the 18 to 25 range may not appeal to a demographic that may be 45 and above. Your content will be different language, it'll be different graphics. Ensure that what you're sending out is attracting what you want, to the law of attraction almost. So you take a look at what your demographic is that you want to attract, what you're happy to attract, and how are you going to reach them. So make sure that content speaks to that very clearly so that there's no confusion. For example, not too long ago, I went to a concert in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. It was to a Steel Panther concert, which, if you're not aware who that is, they are a comedic heavy metal band. And sitting in that audience, everybody was probably about 35 and up. We didn't see a lot of young people there. Again, this band is not a young band. They are actually professionals in the education industry when they're not rocking and rolling. And they targeted their advertising so perfectly because their music has a 1980s rock and roll vibe to it. So, that they know who they're going after. So their graphics were very, if you're from that time, White Lion, Guns N' Roses type. So they knew, to get their marketing to target those they know that would come and purchase the tickets, and it would engage with them. So identify and engage your network. And that's, the best part to start planning your audience engagement now. Any questions? No? Okay. So plan to have engagement points. And the little graphic that I threw in here, empower, enhance, enable, and engage. This is giving power to your network, to your target market, to be able to speak for the festival from their experience and from the information that they're receiving. And by creating meaningful spaces, this will make your audience happy during the event. And by meaningful spaces, I'm referring to inclusive and diverse site plans. There are many different needs that our audiences require. You may have some with sensory, auditory issues. They may get a little overwhelmed. They may need some may need a nursing station or a respite station where they can just take a break for a few moments. If you've got a very large kind of event that is very loud, very noisy, full of people, find a nice little area where they can take a breather that feels safe. Activation stations can target your audience as well and mean something to them. One of the greatest activation stations I saw for a rock festival was a station that was funded by a local power company, and it was where you could go and plug in your device to recharge it, because everybody's, hopefully on social media talking about how great your event is and taking pictures. Then they run out of juice, so they need to recharge. When you're in the middle of a field hosting a large event, power could be an issue, but by engaging a power company or a company that provides generators or something like that, they can brand that station. You could have power breaks stations where you might not have a lot of food vendors, but you could have somebody sponsoring an area where there are nutritious health bars being handed out, and juice and water, and again, branded, and gives people an opportunity to engage with your sponsors, to get something from that engagement, and they will be talking about it. One of the great events I've seen that does this is Nuit Blanche in Toronto, which is a 12-hour event that goes from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. and you walk the streets according to the plan, and there's all these different stations that you can engage with aside from the arts that are available for you to participate in. That I remember taking back these different stations. There was an energy bar station. People were a little bit warm from going through, so there was a cooling station. Some people hadn't planned on it and they wanted to look good. Shiseido Makeup had a model station where they turned you into a model. They did a quick makeup on you, took a picture, and sent you on your way. These little things that mean something, and you think about and you talk about during the event and share during the event, will keep your audience engaged and talking about these kind of things. Hashtag centers. You can have a big very simple, a big bulletin board that has a hashtag for your festival, maybe with a photo opportunity. We've all seen those. Take your picture here. I'm at this festival. This is the hashtag that goes out with it. They're talking about it. They're getting their friends involved. The old "if you're not here, where are you at" kind of thing. That keeps them engaged and excited, and that they feel that they're part of the festival. Again, social media and incentives. It's the middle of the day of your event. You could have something out there. All right, the next 5 people to like this post show up, and we've got free tickets for you, or some swag for you, or what have you. They're engaged. They're excited. They're talking about the event. Oh, I need to get down there. I've got to go get this. An event app. I love event apps. Even if you can't attend the event in person, you can still be part of that event. Tourism summits tend to use this, where there is the hybrid attendance opportunity, that if you can't attend in person, well, you can still be part of it. You can peek in on the different presentations. You can enter the contests. You can communicate with the attendees in live time, see the photos, and that also, if it's within your budget, is a great way to have a meaningful space, even though it's virtual. And the attendees that are at the event can also use that app to schedule what they want to see, where they want to go. If you've got a marketplace, you can list your marketplace. And if somebody's looking for a particular product or an organization to support, oh, good, they're there. There's the sitemap. I'm going. I love event apps.
Marnie,
Yes.
Adriana has a question.
Yes, Adriana.
Well, not so much a question. It was just a statement. So if you guys didn't know, a lot of our carnies actually offer free tickets for like bracelets and stuff. So talk to them. So like the one we have actually offers tickets for low income. So you can take those and bring them to CAS if you want, or do them for draws. Another thing we like to do is we've had a lot of engagement with getting the community involved with making the slogans or whatever. So even if we want like a new logo, so in a few years is our 50th. So we've been working at trying to come up with updating our logo or something special for that year and coming up with a new slogan. It's worked really well. That's how we've kept, like, we probably have 3 or 4 different slogans, and they're all on our t-shirts, because then you can use it, and you're now also, your marketing for merch is now going up because everyone voted and created that slogan. So it's just a quick opportunity, like, to also engage that marketing, but also take that and apply it outside of in other areas.
That is perfect. That's a great example of what I'm saying. Yes. Wonderful. And
Go
sorry?
ahead.
I was just going to say, there's a few more comments.
There are. How much would you budget for an event app?
That would be something that you should go out for a quote for, get a few quotes, because the range is all over the place. It depends how in depth that you want to have that event app developed. So my recommendation, get your quotes, because it could be different province to province, supplier to supplier. It can vary. I've seen them as low as $500. I've seen them as high as about $12,000. It depends on what you want in your app. So don't be afraid to shop around for it, or if you have an RFP process for your organization, throw that out there. Be very specific in your RFP though, for what you want to have in your app. So before you go shopping, make sure you know what you want. Check out various apps that are available right now. If you're an Apple person, the App Center is a good idea to take a look at. Event apps, there are some there that might be a little bit dated, but it gives you the breakdown of what it is. And also, potentially, depending on the structure of your organization, could be a little bit of a fundraiser for you if you, want to recoup some of the costs. Oh, it's $1.99 for download, or free if you agree to have the advertising. Which, by the way, you could sell the advertising for. It all depends how you want to structure it. Event app development is again a big conversation, but it is something that I recommend. An event of medium to large size should investigate the opportunity to have one. Definitely.
Great. And there's a comment from Jenna. She said, I was pleasantly surprised how affordable a photo out was Highland Cow and Highland Dancer, where you put your own head in with our Moncton Scots on the plastic. So
that's true. And those are so nice to have, because it's again, a memory that attendee will have. And it's great for marketing if they agree to have that, shared. Those are definitely great opportunities. Fergus Festival, even the downtown area gets right into supporting the festival through different photographic opportunities. I think it's a wooden statue of a piper that's downtown that you see a lot of people take photos with, and the community just steps it up with those different types of photo opportunities to support it. So definitely, yeah. Okay,
all
and
right.
then
Sorry.
That's all right. So the next one is geocaching. There are many different ways to do it. So I recommend sourcing it out and finding how that could appeal to your event. And that would be excellent for pre-engagement for the event and during the event. So, you have items hidden, or it's almost like a scavenger hunt, and you can include that on the app as well, or just have it as part of your website information, or if you publish a program that is paper, you can have your hints for it. I haven't done it, but I have heard about it, and I thought that would be something really neat to include in today's discussion. If anybody has that experience, would love to hear about it. I have seen it done in my community just for fun's sake, where during the pandemic, when people were not really able to gather, but they were able to be active, different little Tupperware containers throughout the community was something that brightens somebody's day. Would be the hidden at a certain coordinate, and people try to be there to be the first, and then what ended up happening is that person would leave something else for somebody. It was a neat idea, but again, if anybody has that experience, please share that in the chat so that we can provide more information to people. But I thought that should be on your horizon as well. And by creating these meaningful spaces, you're identifying, you're engaging your network. By having some of these set up, you're also able to gather information. So your activation stations should be manned by either the sponsor or your volunteer, and they can track how many people are there. They can actually conduct surveys for you at those activation stations. Your hashtag centers, as you gather that information back from social media where the hashtags are being used, you can see how many people are using them. Sometimes you can, you can connect with their social media as well to say, hey, thanks, you're creating further engagement. Your event app definitely catches almost everything through the sign-up process and through the engagement as well. You'll find out what areas were of most interest to people that are using the app, which areas might require support, and the overall sense of the reception of your event. So that's just a little bit, again, a whole day's conversation.
Hey, Marnie, I just wanted to mention that here in Kitchener, before the pandemic, Oktoberfest used to have a scavenger hunt, I think, on the radio, and they would announce clues every day. as to where you could find the prize. So there were clues that would lead to clues, and anyway, there was a cash prize. So it just created a lot of, and I know Jay worked for Oktoberfest at this point. So at that point, when they were doing it, he may have more comments, but I think that's another way to engage your community in your event.
Perfect. Perfect. And that's something that is, you know, for all ages, you know, it does create excitement. I still have fond memories of those scavenger hunts when I was a kid, and I love doing them as an adult as well. It gets you out, it gets you moving, it gets you thinking about the event, makes you have conversations. You usually drag some friends with you along to do it. So it's a great incentive and it's fun.
Jenna said, oh, just a minute, somehow we're planning to do a scavenger hunt through, Jade said we're planning to do a scavenger hunt through social media by tagging our account, hashtagging their photos of specific places, things to get attendees to explore the entire region. We're an end of season festival, and that's hoping to extend the tourist season for our region. Wow.
Exactly. And even today, if you're enjoying what's happening today, you could put out hashtag FEO 2023, loving the presentation, or hey, needs a little bit more pizzazz, you know, whatever. Then we know, you know, we're collecting information back from you. But you can do that, you know, doing this even during a Zoom meeting or a Zoom event, you know, hybrid events. You know, there's a lot of opportunities to create those meaningful spaces, even if they are virtual.
And can I also so I know we're a little bit off topic here, but we just ran our conference, and Marnie, you can come comment on this. 22 years ago, one of our members won a stuffed toy that was a cow, and he kept it in his office for 22 years and felt it needed to be passed on. So we selected somebody at the conference to take FEO the cow, to their festival and create some energy around it. So that's something that we're doing for FEO, is we have this mascot that has been embraced by Clearview Township, and they are doing, Amanda is doing some really great things, taking photos and posting it. So
that's right. That's right. Maybe at the end of it, or when we connect with everybody after today's session, we could include a photo of FEO and the great handoff. But that was fantastic. That generated a lot of smiles, and now we're all following FEO's exploits throughout the festivals in Southern Ontario. It's a really fun engagement tool, definitely. So now we're at post-event. We're all exhausted, and there's still all the wrap-up that has to be done. But your job with the event will continue right through until next year's event. And you want to keep that audience that attended engaged, whether it was virtually, whether it was in person, whether it was a conference, a meeting, a festival, even a board meeting. You want to keep those stakeholders, those people in the audience, anybody that was involved, engaged. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to use the data that you can collect from ticket sales. If you've if you made use of a platform, they should be able to have created the sign up so that you have gained permission to reach out to them either via email media or in print or social media to ensure that you can connect with them after the event. This is really important. We want to follow all the confidentiality laws. So work with your ticket provider if you're using one so that you get that information in their post-event report and you are connecting with them. Now, of course, we don't want to spam, but at the very least, a monthly newsletter that goes out to generate excitement. include the photos, tag yourself here if it's a virtual letter that goes out, you know, thanking anybody that has participated, you know, start setting the excitement for next year's, ensure that your sponsors are included and noted in that letter that goes out so that you've, you know, acknowledged their contribution and you're also keeping them top of mind with your audience, because this way they've got some formal feedback that they have connected with their target, and you're reminding your audience, don't forget to support these funders because they help us bring this event to you. The social media campaign reports, Facebook is great for that. Twitter is a little bit more difficult if you're using that modem. Instagram is okay. Instagram is great for during the event or using your events from the previous year's photos to start that generation. But again, pull those social media campaign reports and use them. You'll get the demographics of where they're from, who they are, you know, how many clicks through on your social media campaign did they use. Same thing with your website. You can set that up as well so that you know people are hitting the landing page. Now, are they going to the ticket sales or are they going directly over to entertainment? And it identifies what their interests are pertaining to your event. Your social media reports, you definitely want to include them when you're supplying your support, or sorry, when you're supplying your report back to your funders and your stakeholders that have supported you. You'll include that information along with any surveys that were conducted. You may want to target your surveys in certain areas of the event. If you've got a marketplace, you may have a marketplace survey. If you've got a very large entertainment area, for example, in Ontario, there is the Boots and Hearts Festival, and they've got 2 or 3 stages on a good year. You know, was the audience more attracted to stage 2 as opposed to stage 1? You know, that can happen. The conversations that you've gotten back from your marketplace, your food vendors, even your if you have a licensed event, those that were serving the alcohol or the license, you know, how did things go? What did you notice in the demographic? Were there more beer drinkers than mixed drinkers, or was this a teetotaling event? You never know. And to keep in touch, create a keep in touch program, much like a marketing campaign. This is part of it. You know, you can develop those RSS feeds to reach your market, the newsletters, pre-sales. So if you have from your ticket sale data, people that have signed up, Eventbrite is one that is used largely as well, as is Ticket Pro. And they can opt to follow your event. Well, pre-sales available to those that were here last year. You know, you may offer a discount or the VIP first. You know, it's something to consider in your campaign development. Your reports to funders are also a method of keeping in touch. So after the report is done, thanks very much for your money. We appreciate it. This is who showed up. And then they don't hear from you until 3 months before the event with the handout. Don't do that. Keep contact. You're nurturing that relationship. You want to ensure that they still have your event top of mind, because guess what? You're not the only event they're going to have to say yes or no to. And you want to ensure that you've kept that momentum of that relationship. You know, eventually you should be on almost a first name basis with the person of the, I keep saying car dealership, I don't know why, but of the car dealership that you're going in to speak to. They should know you. They should pass you on the street and wave if possible. Government's a little bit different, but again, you want to keep them engaged and say, hey, just want to let you know the event's happening again. We really appreciate it. Here's some photos from your activation site, or, you know, people standing around the poster with your name on it. You know, we appreciate it. A certificate of appreciation is always a great idea, so they have something tangible in their office to say, hey, we do this. Also adding in, and I actually asked for this from Jay just yesterday. Do you have a logo that I can add into my signature showing that I support the event? And, you know, you give them this opportunity, whether they use it or not. That's not within your power, but you've provided that to them. So, you know, Bob Jones, owner of such and such car dealership, proud sponsor of, and there's your logo. And don't forget your thank you messages. I know it is a very dated thing to send a handwritten thank you note to sponsors, much like oh, it probably ended in my era, but after your birthday party, you sent out a thank you letter or an anniversary party. You know what? It doesn't hurt to do the same thing when you've included that post-event report. It's not just, oh, here's a report, a thank you message indicating what that contribution meant. And this should go to your volunteers, your marketplace, and your food vendors as well, because they gave their time and effort to support your event. Some may have benefited financially from it, but they also want to feel valued and a member of your team, because they are. That's my big lecture. So, network. Nurture your network, let your friendly ecosystem help. And I had a great conversation with Debbie yesterday about the term ecosystem, and she questioned, are you sure that's the right term that you want to use? I don't understand the implication. My implication of the ecosystem in a network is everybody works together to make it grow. So in an ecosystem, you have the dirt and the nutrients in the dirt. You have the seeds that grow the plant. You have the birds and the bees that help propagate the planting. You have the person who is harvesting it. You have the person who is purchasing it, and those that are consuming it. This is very similar to what your network is. They do the same thing to create that one end product, and they all need your support. They need each other's support. They need the communication to happen so that everybody is connected to the same goal, much like an ecosystem. So who is in your network? And you know what? There's probably more that can be added in. This was a top of head list that I added, and I'm sure there's more. So if you have contributions to the list, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice a bit. If you have contributions to this list, please add them in the chat so it can be included, because again, we're all supporting each other, and keeping that information locked up doesn't help our communities thrive. So we have our staff first and foremost, because they're the ones that have the idea, or the idea has been brought into. Then the staff need the support through volunteers if your event is large enough to do that. And volunteers are anything from day of event to your executive committees. You have your funders, and those could be your sponsors from the corporate or local level, your in-kind providers, and your government sponsors. Suppliers, very important to nurture your suppliers as well. You do want the best deals, but you also want to show them that you're supporting their business by creating this event, that you're sharing with your stakeholders and your delegates or your attendees that the event suppliers helped to make this event possible. A very, very small point to prove this is at the Great Canadian Kayak Challenge that was held here in Timmins. Our agreement with the municipality was that the shorelines would be kept very nice, prim and proper for the event. And we had a bit of a beach area, but because the river curves, the beach area tends to get washed away. We had an in-kind sponsor that every year, about a week before the event, would come and dump tons of approved sand to restock the beach. And we made sure that that was included in our supplier listing and acknowledgements, because without the beach, we can't launch the kayaks. Without the kayaks, we didn't have a kayak challenge. So we wanted to ensure that, you know, this part of the network was represented. Your regional tourism organizations or your destination marketing organizations should be part of your network. Regardless of the size of your event or what it pertains to, they should be notified. They may have funding opportunities. They may have marketing opportunities. They have a network that they can share the information with that this event is happening. They may have recommendations that there are other areas that you can approach to become part of your network. Your municipality, I'm sorry, I'm just going to take a quick sip of water. Allergy season has started. Your municipality should be on board with you as part of your network. If you're using a municipal venue, or if you require municipal assistance in regards to road closures, noise bylaws, light bylaws, because there is that as well. you have those conversations with them. And they also have their own form of marketing and networking as well. And they can share that, example, they can put out that, the municipality of such and such supports this festival. They sometimes have advertising opportunities. I know ours in Timmins has this digital sign that you can provide a graphic to promote your event. Have those conversations. Sometimes your tourism office might be a part of it. You want to have those conversations. Chambers of Commerce, BIAs, and Economic Development Corporations, if you haven't had discussions with them, you need to get them on board, or at least make them aware of the event. Your Economic Development Corporation is a great partner in helping you assemble all of that survey information and what the economic impact is to the community. And by proving that with their assistance, this also bolsters any government applications that you might be making. It also helps your funders from the area, your local sponsors, understand that by bringing in, if you have a tourism component to this, how it supports their businesses, or at least supports the revenue generation in the community. Your vendors and exhibitors, they, as mentioned, Beavertails is a great promoter of events because they want the business. So they're out there saying, we are going to this community on such and such a day. Hope to see you there. We'll make sure we've got lots of supplies. Vendors that, especially local crafting vendors have a following. They have a following from your region, and when they're promoting that they're going to be there, people are excited, especially when we know, especially the crafters have been working all winter on getting ready for this season. We want to see them be successful and happy and engaged, and by giving them the information within your network that this is happening and keeping them engaged throughout the year, it helps with their motivation and happiness of being part of your event. Your ticketing agent, should you have one, whether you're charging for your event or not, because if you've got a virtual event, you need a sign-up process. They're a great promoter. They do have areas where you can sign up as a user of the platform, and when you're purchasing tickets or signing up for events, you can identify what your interests are, and you get those notifications that, oh, you're interested in learning more about tourism components in festivals. Oh, look, there's all these talks that are happening. It'll happen for your event as well if you've given them that opportunity to help you promote it. Your VIPs, guest speakers, and entertainment. If you've got a band, the bands want a full house to play to, so they're going to be telling their following they're going to be in your area, and they'll start engaging, and those followers will start following your page for more information, like, oh great, there's a concert, but what else is there to do? So, if you've got a marketplace happening, if you've got special rates at hotels, you should be sharing that. And that industry will start following you. And the band may only play once, but their followers may come back for subsequent events. So you're creating that return engagement. Your local hospitality and retail industry should be your strongest supporters. Have those conversations. I know locally we have an organization called HOST, which is Hotel Operators Supporting Tourism, and we provide them information that the event is happening, when, where. If you're engaging with a hotel that is providing a discount for your event, they should be helping to promote that through their own social media, like, oh, we've got a block of 100 rooms for this concert on this day, first come, first served. And that's generating the excitement there, because from booking the rooms, those people that are booking are again following your event, and they're getting engaged and they're excited. Retail industry need to know that you're having an event. We have a tiny little community about an hour from me called Cochrane, and it is where everybody goes to snowmobile and to play hockey. They also have one of the best ice cream bars in Northern Ontario, and they get inundated and overbooked, and we in Timmins get the spillover. Cochrane has probably about 20,000 people less than Timmins does. We have all the brand hotels. We're an hour away, but we get their spillover event. And the same thing with retail. It is a very small community. So when people want to shop, believe it or not, they come to Timmins. So they make the drive over, and it all engages together. So when we're working with our hospitality industry, in our community, we're going an hour circumference to the rest of the hospitality and retail industries to let them know. Restaurateurs need to know if you're coordinating a massive hockey tournament and you've got 5,000 people coming into the community and you've got 12 restaurants, you need to let those restaurants know they're going to get slammed because 5,000 people need to eat over a 3-day period. Hockey tournaments are great for generating tourism revenue. But again, that's another type of event. So I know Jay's keeping me on time because I could talk all day. Do we have any questions?
There are some comments. Nancy said she'd like to add to that list informal champions, people who you notice supporting you frequently or fervently online, not necessarily influencers, although they could be.
Yes, yes, absolutely. There are some really great influencers that have popped up over the years, especially in the United States, that support events. That's also where you find out what events don't work so well. Social media can be a 50-50 thing, so make sure your event's going really good. Otherwise, you end up like Fire Festival, and everybody knows what happened there, among a few others. So I've listed some resources. You probably already know of these ones, and I've targeted this, towards the East Coast, which I'm very fond of. But we also have some in Ontario. Festivals and Events Ontario, as I mentioned, was probably my university. I just to give you a little background, my foray into the festivals and events scene directly was I got conned because a friend of mine was setting up for an arts market and she was having difficulty putting up her 10 by 10. So she asked me to help hammer in the stakes. And the event coordinator walked by and said, "Oh, are you volunteering here?" And I said, "No, I've just been voluntold." "Oh, what's your name?" Next thing I know, I've got an email saying, "Hey, would you like to be part of our volunteer corps?" And then I ended up running the festival for 13 years. So just saying, I needed to learn a lot more, and Festivals and Events Ontario has provided some amazing educational opportunities that I've taken advantage of, and I am so glad they're also a great resource. You can send them a question, they will send it out to their experts, and those experts will respond to you, because again, we need to support the industry. There is no more, you can't be holding those cards to your chest. You've got to share that information, because what works for a festival in a community can work for another, and you want to bring it all together. And of course, the very last one is me. So if you have any questions or you just need to bounce some ideas, I love talking shop, as you can probably tell from today's presentation. Any other questions or comments, or and feel free, if you're a little shy, follow up is always great. Just send us a quick email and we'll happy to help out.
I have a quick suggestion, maybe.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi. About 4 times a year, Vistaprint, who I'm sure you're all aware of, has a special on business card printing. You can get 500 of these printed up for about 20 bucks. You can have your event, you can have a QR code, you can have a handful of them in your hand at all times when you go to your chamber meetings, the mall, your other events. And It just gives something to somebody right in their hand that leads them right to your event.
You need to tell your story, and having that little piece of identification to hand out cements it. Yeah. Tell everybody about your event. Tell them till they're sick of it and they can quote it right back to you, because you're generating the information that goes out, and they will talk about it having been informed and educated by you about your event. Communication, 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 most definitely.
If I could just add to that, Bonnie, what I've done for other events is when those sales come on, get the business card size, but as like a coupon for free entry or something like that. And just, keep a stack of those on me at all times to hand out. And at the event in particular, we found it really empowering to give basically everyone, volunteers and whatever, a few of those in case they ran into a situation where, someone was unhappy because something happened. It was like, well, here, I can give you, a $5 off at this vendor that we've already set something up with, or I can give you free entry for tomorrow, or have something that everyone is empowered that they can hand out to try to diffuse a situation like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. I like that.
I just want to jump in here. Jade wants to know if you'd be okay, this group would be okay of sharing your list of contact information so that they can keep up with them through social media. If everybody is okay, just, go to reactions and raise your hand, and then Darlene will get that list out to you. Or just, yeah, yay, great. Wonderful. Wonderful, thank you. Well, Marnie, once again, it was great chatting with you and hearing your expertise. I just wanted to thank you all for attending and sharing your ideas and comments. And just a quick reminder, I know Darlene will probably be doing this as well, but there's a survey at the end of this when you go to end. If you could please fill out the survey so that we could get feedback back to GMIST and Darlene and Nora for future sessions. So thank you again, everyone. Darlene, over to you.
Well, I thank you guys so much. That was wonderful information, and thanks everyone for all your questions and your comments and advice, and it was wonderful. Again, don't forget your survey, and also GMIST, just keep checking out our website. We always got different programs on the go, so it's gmist.ca. And thanks again, everyone, for attending.